Turning now to some congressional reaction, let's bring in Arizona Senator and Homeland Security Committee member Ruben Gallego. Senator, welcome.
Thank you.
I would like to start with a clip from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and I will get your reaction to it, sir.
Sure.
We called members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days.
How do you respond, sir?
I mean, that's absolute BS. Past presidents, including Donald Trump, has talked to our leadership. And mind you, not all senators and all congressmen need to be privy to this type of information. And they have been part of the chain of understanding what's happening there, especially when you're going to conduct what is essentially a war, when you're sending in men and women into harm's way, which potentially could have gone wrong, if not for really the execution of.
Senator Ruben Gallego rejected claims that Congress could not be informed ahead of the Maduro operation, saying sensitive missions have always included briefings for congressional leadership. He argued that notification does not mean public disclosure, but rather ensuring constitutional oversight when U.S. troops are placed in harm's way. According to Gallego, bypassing Congress sets a dangerous precedent and weakens democratic accountability during moments.
Our great military, we avoided a lot of potential situations. You need to have congressional oversight over this, and more importantly, you still need to have congressional approval. The president is very clear that he wants to occupy Venezuela. He wants to take the oil. Nothing in what they've said so far in their justification is the reason why they went to get Maduro. But going forward, he does not have the approval of Congress nor the American public for an occupation of Venezuela, and needs to come and ask for that or get rejected for it.
Senator, you represent a border state. Isn't Arizona safer with Nicolás Maduro out of power?
Absolutely. We're safer also when the president didn't pardon the former president of Honduras, who was a drug dealer. Point being is there's a lot of ways for us to do this. But the most important thing is don't avoid the Constitution. Don't avoid Congress and asking for permission, especially when you're going through these types of situations where you're going to send men and women into war.
Gallego warned that the administration crossed a constitutional line by launching military action without congressional approval. He said any operation that risks armed conflict must be authorized by Congress, regardless of how it is labeled. Without that approval, Gallego argued, the president is effectively asserting the power to unilaterally take the nation to war, something the.
This is a problem that the president should come and talk to us and work with us, but not to the point where we were going to go to war at this point. And he didn't even bother. And people are going to understand this is an illegal war. People do not want us to occupy, the American people do not want us to occupy Venezuela. We don't want to go to war again for another, oil again. And as someone who's experienced this in Iraq, nothing good comes out of this.
But isn't it fair to say that some of the fault lies with Congress, because a lot of members of Congress don't seem to want to vote on an authorization for the use of military force? They would rather let the president own it.
That's not true. I'm gladly work on an authorized use of military force. What he's asking is for permission. He could ask any time. What he doesn't want is for us to tell him yes or no. And what are we going to ask in case he wants actually an authorized use of military force? What is the reason?
While acknowledging that removing Maduro makes the United States and the region safer, Gallego stressed that this does not justify occupying Venezuela or seizing its oil resources. He said the president has no approval from Congress or the American people for such actions. Gallego warned that once military forces are deployed without clear limits, conflicts can quickly expand beyond their original scope and become.
The reason why is the cause. What is the end game? Right now, we can't even tell us who's going to occupy and who is actually in charge of Venezuela. Who is going to be, dictating what's going to happen internally in Venezuela, and how is that going to make us any safer? There was no plan and pretext to what's going to happen post this action against Maduro.
What are your expectations when you get briefings from senior Trump administration officials in the coming days?
Well, they're just going to lie. Let's be clear. We actually had briefings before this, and it was, in those briefings, Secretary Rubio and Secretary Hexet both said that this is not a precursor to us doing regime change. No, everything you're seeing from you is not an opportunity to build towards war versus Venezuela. I said it was actually that, and lo and behold, this is what happened. Next, they're going to say most likely that, no, we're not going to try to occupy Venezuela.
Gallego criticized the administration for failing to outline who will govern Venezuela or how stability will be maintained after Maduro's removal. He noted that officials previously assured Congress there was no plan for regime change, yet events now suggest otherwise. Without a clear political transition plan, Gallego warned that Venezuela could fall into deeper chaos, creating new security threats rather than resolve.
When the American people have been very clear, they do not want to be occupiers again. We do not want to be the world police. It is not the intent of the American public, again, to be another forever war. It's time for us to understand where our place is in the world, and it's not for us to be the world police.
But to be fair to President Trump, there will be fewer drugs coming across the border from Venezuela. Isn't that fair?
I don't know. I mean, most of these drugs are actually going to Europe. At the end of the day, there's a lot of ways for us to actually work together to stop this. I actually have been a big supporter of the sanctions on Maduro and to go after terrorists. I have been in support of actually declaring narcos as narco terrorists. But what I'm not for is us to go around the Constitution of the United States to start a war with no plans about what the end result of this is going to be. That does not make us safer in the end. And any president being able to unilaterally declare war does not make this country any safer.
Well, we will follow it all. Senator Ruben Gallego, the great state of Arizona, thanks so much for doing this today. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
Drawing from lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan, Gallego cautioned against repeating history by entering another open-ended conflict. He said Americans do not want to act as the world's police or be drawn into another forever war without defined goals. While supporting sanctions, counter-narcotics efforts, and targeting terrorists, Gallego insisted that unilateral military action without congressional consent ultimately undermines national security and public trust.